It is the Anfield wrap with you after the Merseyside derby and the Manchester derby, and looking ahead to the Manchester City-Liverpool game. The Anfield wrap is supported by RedsBet, which is tailor-made for Liverpool fans. RedsBet is an online gaming platform which seeks to build strong, long-lasting partnerships with supporters that enable them to share 50% of net profits generated from bets to be used specifically for fan causes and other initiatives that matter. That is RedsBet. More on that towards the end of the show. But before then, we've got to talk about the Merseyside derby. We are going to talk about the Manchester derby. We don't normally do that, but it does feel as though we were almost playing. And we are going to talk about this game that's coming up. We'll start with, though, the Merseyside derby, John. And you were saying to me on Friday, it's one of your favourite occasions of the season, and you were almost annoyed that it had been ever so slightly taken off us. And I think that was there in the performance. The manager post-match called it one of the most mature performances. He said we didn't want to play a crazy derby. It was a shame, wasn't it? Because on some level, you just quite like to watch a crazy derby.
Yeah, there was no yellow cards, was there, at all, which is remarkable considering it's the tie that's had the most red cards out of any other in since the Premier League started.
I mean, he was working hard to ensure that was the case.
Yeah. To be fair, it was well, would you call it sensible refereeing or not a letter kind of other people decide? But I think there's people who could have got in the book that he didn't. But still, it does kind of show something. I think normally they haven't got any choice, and so I think and Everton, I think we're just a little bit worried about getting battered, so they held back, and then their flurry at the end was a little bit too little, too late, wasn't it? If you're looking at it from an Everton point of view, I guess you're thinking, well, are they on the blue room? Are they going to be saying, could we have gone for it early? Well, I would imagine that'll be kind of one of the discussion points really. So, but it was funny that last 15 minutes because obviously they do have a bit of a flood, and you can see the Liverpool lads looking around going, do we match them here, or do we just kind of see what happens? And I think they went for the latter.
They did go for the latter, Philippa, and it was perhaps a tiny little bit frustrating, but the flip side of that was the manager was quite clearly not subbing Ings or Solanke, and Ings and Solanke were both in different ways to a couple of the others. They looked short of match fitness, nothing was sticking up there, we couldn't effectively get out in that last 15 minutes, and earlier in the game we'd lacked a fair bit of the attacking quality we've seen through the season.
Yeah, I kind of feel a little bit sorry for Solanke and Ings because it seems to be they're kind of being judged against players that are obviously far superior to them at the moment, but also, when you're not playing week in, week out, it's really difficult to get any sort of momentum going, and, we're asking them to come in to a patched up Liverpool side and basically do something that they don't know how to do at the moment because they're just not used to playing in this side. And I mean, my concern was that we just weren't holding the ball up, and I would have thought that would be something that Solanke would be quite good at. When you look at his physical attributes, that's the sort of thing that I would look from him. And I kind of feel like it just bounces off him a little bit too much, and that can be a nerves thing. It can be just he knows this is his opportunity, and if he puts on a bit of a show, then he might get another opportunity come the latter stages against City again. But I don't know, it just didn't seem to happen for either of them. Both work hard, both trying, but just nothing really coming off. And I was actually more impressed with Solanke against City, to be honest, on Wednesday. I thought he did a decent job when he came on, but yesterday, really disappointing, to be honest.
I mean, the conditions were tough. It was really wet, and I think that's got to be kind of bear in mind. I mean, normally you have to tell people, watching on the telly what the conditions are like, but you could see it. When people go to the slide tackles, the water was kind of jumping up. It was almost kind of like a comedy sketch, wasn't it? Sometimes, it was like cartoon style water kind of coming up from the surface, and so it was tough for them. I'd be interested to know where Solanke's played in terms of when he's come up through the ranks, because he doesn't look to me that comfortable up there on his own, and he doesn't look to me like, I think he wants to drop deep, he wants to get hold of the ball, and I think once he's got it under control, I think he's a good player. The problem he's got is you don't get time in the Premier League to get it under control and then bring it down and then kind of look good, really. His first touch isn't quite sure enough generally, and people are kind of onto him, and also I'm not sure he's exactly sure kind of what he should be doing in there. I think his movement in the box is okay. I don't think it's that. I think it's just more kind of where he should be positioning himself on the pitch, for channels he should be running. Kind of, I think once we can get it wide, he sort of comes alive a little bit, and he does have the kind of a couple of chances actually, doesn't he? He's got the header as well, but I think, I don't know. I feel like he needs to go somewhere else, and we're jumping ahead a little bit here, but almost to decide what kind of footballer he wants to be. And I think we're all kind of, a lot of people are putting that image on him based on kind of, as Philippa says, his attributes or whatever. And I think what he wants to do in his head's slightly different. And I think he almost kind of needs to decide, well, this, or someone to tell him, this is what you're going to do. This is what I think you should be, and I'm going to play you kind of 10 games and prove it to you. And I don't think he'll ever be able to do that in Liverpool, unfortunately.
Stu, right?
I think he's a good player. I think he's a good player. I think it's too soon for him now, and he needs to be in a situation where someone is going to be, for better or worse, stuck with him as the centre forward, and he needs to run games. And I think he needs to, and when he comes into the team as well, you know, like yesterday, he's not coming into our normal front line. He's not coming into, you know, the first 11, and he's not surrounded. You know, he's not got Salah on one side, and I know he did have Mane, but I don't know. It just feels it feels a bit harsh, I think, to judge him at the moment. I don't know. I saw someone post something yesterday about surely Origi would have been a better option, actually, and I can't really argue with that. But I do think that I see more in Solanke as a player than I did in Origi, and I hope that next season I'd like him to go on loan. I'd like him to. I just think he needs to be the main centre forward for either a Championship team or a lower half of the Premier League team, and I just think he needs to get those minutes and that experience under his belt. And my God, I've never seen a player more in need of a goal. You know, it's just one of them. So I think. Listen, I'd be really, really annoyed if we went into next season with him as our number 2 striker. I'd like him to still be on Liverpool's books. I'd like him to go out and go on loan and get some experience. I think there's a player
Newcastle
there.
This morning. I'd like him to go under Rafa, because I think Rafa would give him decent guidance. And you know, Newcastle, you know, they haven't got a decent striker, I don't think, there. So I think he'd get a decent number of games for them, and
we like Rafa, don't we?
But I'm not convinced he's a striker, and we were all saying, you know, he wants to go somewhere and play number 9. I'm not sure he wants to play number 9. I think he might be a 10, and we don't play a 10. So I think he's obviously in a bit of trouble there.
I feel like someone needs to find out, though, John, but not on our hooks. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Not on our watch. It needs to kind of happen somewhere else, either behind the scenes, or he needs to get the experience and find out. Go and find himself. You know,
on Ings then, you know, as we may as well just do them both now, John. I thought he looked reasonably lively for an hour, and then, like I think most Liverpool players, for different reasons, he dropped off a bit of a cliff physically. He can't have very much match fitness at all, certainly at that level. But I think there was a liveliness to him. Again, you're sort of wondering about the quality, and I didn't think it quite made a ton of sense to him pulled out to the right, but then he's not, you know, he's not the biggest of the idea of playing through the middle.
I think he could have played through the middle. I think the problem is the Solanke was playing there, and I think it was probably more that really. It doesn't make sense necessarily to use Solanke wide. It might make sense to use him a bit deeper, but not necessarily wider. So I think he's there. So I was thinking, you know, maybe when Firmino was coming on, he might hook Solanke, and you might see Ings go in the middle there or whatever. And I think Ings makes a little bit more sense in this team than Solanke does at the moment, because I think you could see how it'd work and how he'd work with the other lads who he wasn't necessarily given the chance to play with. But he does just look short of match fitness, and you're right, and he hasn't been playing much football of any note recently, because we can't play him in the other 23s because he's needed. He's on the bench, and so he's not. He looks like someone who hasn't played a lot of football basically. But you know, I thought he was lively enough.
He'll run and run, won't he? He's probably somewhere now running. You know, he's just this kind of fella. He's a workhorse. He's a very willing runner, and I think that it would serve him well to lift his head more and see, you know, suss out the options around him. But it felt, I think I said to you in the pub yesterday, that it felt very much like with those two, it felt like we were trying to force it through blunt force trauma, if you like. You know, it was that kind of thing. We didn't have the incisiveness. I felt like we were trying to peel a potato with a spoon. That's a weird analogy, isn't it? But I'm into it. But yeah, I think I can see what John says about Ings makes more sense. You can see him doing a job with, with two of the other three lads around.
He looks to me like Ings to me, Stu, looks a little bit like you'd fancy him with the better players. When you're talking about lift his head more, I think, for instance, if he knows he's lifting his head and he's seeing, he's seeing Salah, he's seeing Firmino, he's seeing Mane, some combination of them, I think that becomes a little bit more straightforward for him, I think. And I think also maybe if he's also a bit closer to the centre of the pitch as well, he then, we all know right mid / right wing is at times not a barrel of laughs because you actually can't see much of the pitch. You can see, you've got quite a limited sort of degree vision, if you know what I mean. So I do wonder if he's what you are sort of thinking, well, he could benefit from the better players.
Yeah, I mean, he was sacrificing himself for the team yesterday, playing out wide. It is a difficult shift when you're not Mo Salah, or Sadio Mane. He's got a different skill set, and it didn't really necessarily suit him, but he is one of those players with that pace who can do a job there. So conversely to Solanke, he is someone that I'd be quite happy to see knocking about in the squad next season. I'm quite happy to see him, as an option off the bench for the rest of this season. Back to the whole idea of do we have someone of suitable quality to be, behind Bobby Firmino? I think the answer's still no, but he makes more sense. Ings makes more sense than anybody else at this moment in time.
Yeah, you kind of feel like with Ings that if he gets a run of games, that he'll find his feet and he'll be able to contribute a lot more. And that's, I kind of feel like the chance that Solanke had, where he basically hit it straight at Pickford, if that had been Ings, I think it'd have been in the back of the net. But you've also got to be in those positions. I think Solanke's good. He gets in the right positions. He's just, I think this is where you kind of see Salah's. Don't know what you would say
genius.
About it. Yeah, genius. But like, he just takes his time. He just seems to know when to take it early and when to take that extra touch and wait for the keeper to make a move or the defenders even. And there with Solanke, I think he just snatched at it and. If it had took a little bit more time, I think it was a better chance than what he made of it. Maybe Ings would have done that. Maybe he'd have took an extra touch as well. He just seems a little bit more of a natural finisher to me at the moment. And if I was to pick, if we need a goal on Tuesday, if I was to pick one of them to come on and make a bit of a difference, it'd probably be Ings over Solanke at the moment.
The other thing that's interesting is last season, Philippa, Mane plays right-hand side. So he does all of his business and he's threatening, not quite at Mo Salah levels, but he's constantly there and he's constantly a threat. This season, we can now look back across the whole of his campaign playing off the left and point out that he has scored more goals this season than he did last, and he's played very, very well there. But it's interesting to me the manager is not tempted to move him. In exactly the same way it's interesting that Wijnaldum plays as the deepest midfielder. The idea is, lads, these are the roles that you're going to be playing between now and the end of the season, or in Wijnaldum's case, a one-off possibly just on Tuesday. But it is this sort of, that's your position. I need you to know your position, not the idea of we're going to do just simply what's best right now for this game.
Yeah, he wants the players to basically master their art in the position or the role that he wants them to perform for us. And I think he's right, to be honest, with Mane. I did have my doubts earlier on in the season because I felt like he was struggling. He didn't look like he was quite comfortable out there, but I think he's settled now. And I like the fact that both Mane and Salah can come in and basically shoot with their stronger foot. And they've both got a cracking shot on them. And I think it suits us that they can come in and play a little bit more narrow, and then the fullbacks, who are also quite dangerous, can get out there and get past the defence really as an overlapping run. And I think it's something that maybe gets a little bit overlooked, that we've got these good players, but they're also creating a lot of space for the fullbacks to make a difference as well. They're not eating they're not kind of playing in the same place, which sometimes I've found in the past that players are not fluid enough, and they want to stay out wide and not get in there and cause another body to be in the box essentially, because in the past I've kind of felt like we've not had enough players in the box to take chances, and I really feel like we're just so dangerous. I don't know. I just can't see how we can't score against City, to be honest, on Tuesday. And I hope I'm not like talking it in a bit there, but I just think that we've just got this blend at the moment that just seems to work so well, and everybody seems to know what they need to do, and it's just really good to see.
Don't really. I mean, are we still going to talk about the derby?
I want to talk about Wijnaldum, because we're talking about Wijnaldum with one eye on, obviously, on Tuesday. People were raving about his performance, and I think I thought he played well, Stu. My minor concern is there's a couple of times he's turning away from Rooney or Schneiderlin or even Tom Davies, and he's nearly getting caught. And when he gets away from them, he looks fabulous, because he's just turned away from 2 Evertonians and he's made them look daft. My point is, he's not going to be turning away from especially Rooney, frankly, who I thought was about as abject as I've seen a centre midfielder in a derby going years. He's going to be going to Kevin De Bruyne and David Silva and possibly Fernandinho or someone else, Raheem Sterling possibly snapping at his ankles. So, but also there, was the other flip side of that is the pitch was horrible, and I think that was influencing how Liverpool's midfielders were able to play as well. But I think he shows enough, doesn't he, to make you think he can do this on Tuesday night. He can do this.
Yeah, it feels like the right move. I think up until seeing that yesterday, I'd wrongly assumed that it'd be Milner who would play the 6, and that terrified me. I mean, I think James Milner's doing really well at the moment. I think he's more of a second half player, to be honest. I feel like he takes a bit of time to feel his way into a game, but his lack of, it feels harsh to say lack of mobility, but you know what I mean. It doesn't seem like he's the most nimble of fellas on the turn, but then I suppose you see him dancing down the wing almost and putting a cross in, but it just doesn't feel, I wouldn't feel secure. But Gini, on the other hand, seeing that yesterday and then recalling when he has done that, it's not the first time he's done that for Liverpool. There have been the odd occasion where Klopp's tried him there, and it has been positive, and it does feel like we'll be able to recycle possession much better with him there. It does feel that he has the ability to get himself out of tight corners, which I think he'll be in at times. I think they'll be pressing him. I think he'll be finding it quite tough, and he does seem to have. He does demonstrate the game intelligence and the awareness to be able to dictate the game from there, as much as he's going to be able to, away from home at City. I suppose the question is really, how much, what Genie will we get on Tuesday? Will we get a player who can do all those things, but also the Genie that we've seen that is extremely strong and robust in a tackle, will roll his sleeves up and relish the fight, or will we see the Genie that has sometimes been an empty shirt? But I certainly feel a lot more optimistic having seen that tactical shift yesterday, and with him playing there, I think, I mean, he did everything yesterday that I'd wanted to see him to do. Yeah,
he did well. I thought on the ball he was excellent, and I thought, we've had a little look at him there in pre-season, and I remember not being sure that it worked, but I thought, albeit with all the caveats that Neil said about Everton's appalling midfield, let's be honest with you, until just a Gay came on, with all that sort of caveats. I think he did well. I think off the ball he's going to need a lot of help, but I think Jurgen Klopp knows that. I think James Milner and Oxlade-Chamberlain know that I think that's where you worry about him really, is that their attacking midfielders finding pockets of space and how intelligent their movement is, and it's hard for any defensive midfielder that, even more so for someone who's not used to playing there. So he is going to need support in this game, and it won't surprise me if you see in Milner and Oxlade-Chamberlain sort of really close to him, a lot closer than kind of what we're used to.
Do you know what? I actually think maybe counterintuitively that this actually might help him, this switch of position for this game, because I think that in the midfield 3, I think the 2 ahead of the 6 can sometimes get lost. I think the position itself, without real clarity from the coach, which I think Klopp gives, to be fair, but I think it can confuse the players. I think we saw that for the time when Gerrard was playing, not in the 6, when he was playing in the 8, if you like, under Rodgers, before he moved back into the 6, and I think
I think it's been the case since year dot. I think, the number of times you'd look at a Chelsea midfield under Mourinho going to 2004, and everyone would say Makelele's been outstanding, and you'd say if it was Good Johnson or Lampard, they get your attention breaking into the box, making it happen, and you'd sort of go, well, I don't know what Thiago's doing. Do you know what I mean? And that's, I think that,
and he's doing loads,
and he can be doing loads, but it just doesn't look like you haven't got a defined "this is my job" sort of thing. Whereas if your job becomes I'm just here, then it's easier, I think, to feel as that, to get in and feel part of the game. Whereas I think it can be a bit harder at times if you are sort of, well, I need to do a bit of this to help them, and I need to do a fair bit of this to help him, but I've got to shift between the two. If it's just this is my list of things to do, if you know what I mean, I'm just going to tick them off one at a time.
Definitely, and I think that could be where it helps him. He's going to have a very, very clear remit for one game. This is my job. Thou shalt not pass. This is my job, okay? And this is all my job is. You guys can go and get on with the rest of the stuff. You go and take care of that. But this is my job. And I don't think it's always that clear for him when he's playing, in an 8th position rather than as a 6. So, it could. I'm certainly feeling a lot more. I can feel myself, convincing myself now as the days go by, as we get closer to Tuesday, that this could work.
And Milner has another really good game as well, which helps as well when you're thinking about the midfield in general. I thought, I think this time a couple of weeks ago, I was a little bit unsure about Milner in terms of his form, but I think he's obviously excellent against Man City, then brilliant again against Everton. And in normal circumstances, you wouldn't have took him off by any stretch of the imagination, would you? He was probably the best player on the pitch, but he's decided his subs before the game, I think, and that's what that. But I thought, Milner in such good form as well just makes you feel like, well, you can not take risks elsewhere, but you can have a few kind of question marks elsewhere because he's gonna be brilliant on Tuesday.
Philippa, the other one to talk about, I think, is Nathaniel Klein. Before we talk about the goalkeeper's excellent save, Nathaniel Klein, it was just dropped back in there again, under the awareness that he's going to be asked to do the 90 minutes, I suspect. I think he probably knows there's no sub for me in this one. There's other lads who are getting subbed before I'm getting subbed. So managed his performance very, very well. And I thought he was, insofar as he can, he just sort of looked like he hadn't been away.
I was really impressed with him, actually. And I think he showed kind of a little bit of what we've been missing. And I've been very impressed with both Gomez and Trent for large portions of this season, and I think the fact that we haven't really spoken about Klein being missing for the season, it's kind of shown what a good job that they've done. But what Klein gives you is that 7 out of 10 every week. It's very rare that he drops below that, and I think I was obviously aware of the fact that it was his first competitive game back yesterday, and that there was a chance that he'd be below that level, but I thought he was just solid. He just didn't put a foot wrong for me, and he just looked like he'd never been away, really. And to be honest, I don't think he will. I think he'll play Trent again on Tuesday, but I think if he was to play Klein, I wouldn't really have any major concerns about it either.
I'd agree with that in terms of, I just think it's a shame that it's Tuesday. I think if it was another day or two between the fixtures, I'd be very tempted to play Nathaniel Klein. Just that experience that he brings, that know-how. Trent did great the other night. I've said on previous shows, we're asking an awful lot of this young lad, and he's living up to it. Fair play to him. But I think I think that there's a part of me that does want to just put an arm around him and protect him a little bit. And this is a huge game with huge pressures. And if, as I say, if Klein was a bit fitter, it would certainly be coming into my thought process. So it might not be a bad idea to bring him back in. But in the circumstances where he's just done 90, and the next game is 3 days later, then I think I just can't. I don't think it'll happen. I just can't see it at all.
Yeah, I agree with all that, I think, but it is worth repeating how sort of comfortable he looked, and how you'd imagine he'd been out for weeks, not months, in terms of how well he played. And I think obviously Trent is a little bit more dangerous around the box in terms of his delivery, but that said, that I think we were all playing on it within ourselves a little bit, but Klein just. He is someone who what you're going to get from, and I think he's going to be a useful player for us between now and the end of the season. And it is good to have another one, because obviously there's injury concerns elsewhere, and there's Clavin playing left back, which I didn't think worked at all from in terms of moving us up getting, allowing us to move up the pitch.
I thought Klavan was really willing. He was trying his best, but it did. You could really see the extent that how hard it is actually to play full-back in this team. That we've watched Liverpool teams in the past where you can move centre-halves to full-back and just go, it'll broadly speaking be relatively similar. He might just not quite have a decent ball on him every now and again. There you could see. And I thought second half, first 15 minutes, Johnny was having a bit of a go, Klavan, like he's been told, listen, just do more of this and don't worry about it quite so much. But then it really was like it was what on earth am I meant to do now?
Yeah, he was trying to release the ball as quickly as he could, basically. Wherever he got it, he was like, all right, I'll take a touch and I'll pass it. And that doesn't sound like a problem, but a lot of times he was giving it straight back to the person who got it, and we were trying to play ourselves out of slightly difficult situations. And you could see, like, Ronaldo or whatever, or Henderson looking at him and thinking, put the helmet, you know what I mean? I could, I'd give it to you because this fella's harassing me, and now you just give it straight back to me, and he's still there. And so, there was kind of a little bit of that, really. And so, you feel sorry for him because he wasn't doing anything wrong as such. But in a case of an Andy Robertson who'd his first touch would be out of his feet, then his second would be moving down the line, and then you find another midfielder who was higher up the pitch, and then we'd be
and he's got you 30 yards.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas with Klavan, it was just kind of take a touch and give it to a red shirt. Any red shirt. Doesn't matter. If it's the red shirt who's just passed it to me, or it's a red shirt who's marked by someone else, it's just kind of anything. And also, I'm not going to move at all with the ball. And I think, and this sounds like I'm being really harsh, and I'm not. He was fine. But I think
it's just not his game, is it? That's not his role. So, it's just one of them. But the thing is, from the way I looked at it, was just mission accomplished, minutes in his legs. And he's going to be a very important player in the circumstances for now, I think, for the rest of the season, for us. He is our only alternative, isn't he?
Well, I think that's why he picks Klavan over Moreno. I think he thinks I might need Klavan for a bit on Wednesday night, Tuesday night, whatever it is, Tuesday, and I think he thinks that I think Robertson will be fine, and I think that the Robertson thing's just a precaution, or it's just resting him or whatever. So I think he'll play Tuesday, and I think he's thinking that Klavan, I might need him, so I'll get some minutes in his legs, as you said. And I think from that point of view, it was, as you say, mission accomplished.
You might also see some three at the back, as much as I don't like it, between now and the end of the season as well. So the idea of, if he's got a chop and change, if we do go...
I thought we started three at the back.
We did start a little bit lopsided. It was actually just similar to the way City set up against us. I thought we were a little bit lopsided, and then it was... There was loads and loads of basically, Milner, can you do 4 jobs?
Which he was fine with?
Yeah, he was absolutely fine with. I think he might well have swept the floor of the dressing room when he got off at the end. I want to talk about the goalkeeper. It's a magnificent save, Stu. It looked wide all the way to me. It was only when I saw it back on the replay in the ground, I was like, by the way, their scoreboard is mental, but that's a conversation for another day. It was only when I saw it back on the scoreboard in the ground, you realise he's got a hand to it. And as I say, when it left his foot all the way, I was thinking, that's just going to fade wide. It wasn't. It was quite the opposite. It's the save that retains the point, if you know what I mean. I think we probably would have found it hard to get an equaliser. Their tails would have been up. They wouldn't have deserved that goal. Brilliant save.
It's the kind of save that if he doesn't make it, no one's got a problem with the fact that the fella's just stuck it in the top corner. Do you know what I mean? And they're the saves that matter, and they're the saves that weren't happening for him for one reason or another when he first got his run in the team. And it seemed like it'd be so long before we actually got him. We saw him have an opportunity to make a save. I don't know if it was just the nature of the way we were playing at the time, and anything that did go at him tended to go in. So he's now looks a very, very different proposition as a goalkeeper. I think rightly people are still asking questions. Or would you get another one in the summer? But I think that now that is becoming more of a question rather than just a straightforward, logical plan that needs to happen. So I think he looks more and more the part. He looks assured. He looks comfortable in having a go at the defenders. The save is absolutely unreal. But I'm also really pleased with how much he's coming for and claiming.
Yeah.
And he's doing that at crucial moments. I mean, against City the other night as well, and yesterday, deep into the game, when you want him to just take the sting out of it, he's coming for a cross in a difficult situation, doing it comfortably, confidently, competently, and that is a real calm and presence for everyone around him. People have spoken about how Van Dijk has come in and that has had an impact on Karius because it's calmed him down, and I think that's right. But I also think that defence is looking calmer, not just because of Van Dijk now, but because they've got a more assured goalkeeper who seems to be more relaxed, seems to believe in himself, and he seems to be making more and more of the right decisions.
they all seem to trust one another for me, and I think what I've noticed more, and you don't notice it the same when you're not at the game, and I wasn't there yesterday, but at Anfield on Wednesday, he just seems to make the right decisions. So when he's got the ball and like I've got people around me screaming for him to play it dead quick, if there's nothing on that's dead obvious, he's keeping hold of it and he's going, no, do you know what, we're 3-0 up, no one needs to take a risk here. He's playing it long when he needs to. He just seems to be playing smart to me, and I think that's something that you never really got the impression under Mignolet that he was able to do that. He was able to like look at what was happening in the game and to make a decision based on that. And I've been really impressed with him, and that save yesterday, I thought it was in all the way, to be honest, watching it on the telly, and I didn't even know how he got to it, to be honest. But
he gets to it because he anticipates it, and I think that's worth pointing out as well. Like Stu says, if he doesn't move early and it goes in, you're thinking, well, how's he going to get to that? He gets to it because he anticipates what Bolasie is going to do, and he's moving already, and it's a real positive piece of goalkeeping, and that's what's been nice about watching Karius recently, is just how positive he is kind of all the time, really. And sometimes, look, you can get caught out, he can get deflected the other way, and people say, oh, he's moved too soon or whatever, or he could just shimmied and then gone somewhere else, I don't know, but he's thought he's going to kill this, and he's right on his toes, he's moving already, and that allows him to get across and kind of makes the save. And as I say, it's positive goalkeeping, and they're all defending as a unit in a positive way, and when Karius comes forward, you just think, well, he'll catch this, and that's great, isn't it? Because we didn't used to think that through a range of goalkeepers, if we're honest with you. So it's really nice to see, but I just think they're just supporting each other more in every way, and I think that how much Van Dijk's talking is good, but it's not just talking for talking's sake, which is what I used to do in five-a-side, and everyone's just like, oh, shut up him, you know what I mean? It's like, it's support.
Are you very encouraging, John? You very much want people to fight.
I know I do.
The two things I'd take, you're very encouraging and you want people to fight, and I think that they're two strong principles, mate.
Well, I mean, I'd say Van Dijk probably shares them, and I'm not saying he's took that from my five-a-side game, but he's not afraid to tell people if they've done something wrong, but he's also not afraid to tell people when they've done something right. And that used to do me head, didn't it? You never see that. You never see our players go, that's a really good tackle, that well, and pass on the back kind of thing. They just sort of always just seem to get on with it, and I think they want to work for each other now, and whoever it is who's coming in and out, I think it's just defending, and they're enjoying defending, and it's not a big deal.
Feels like a unit, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think the communication you mentioned there from Van Dijk, I think has bonded that a bit more. And I also think, I look at it and think, well, you've got a bunch of fellas here, and I include the goalie in this, who are, they know what they're supposed to be doing, but B, they are encouraged and asked to be the footballers that they want to be. And let me explain that. With Mignolet in goal, we were asking Simon Mignolet to do all kinds of things that weren't his natural game as a goalkeeper. He's not someone who's great with his feet. He's not necessarily. He's more of a line goalie, isn't he? He's more in. I feel terrible saying this now, but in keeping with the style of David De Gea, is very much a line goalie. Simon Mignolet is, but he's just obviously nowhere near that as good as De Gea. We needed someone who was going to be more on the front foot. We needed someone who was going to dominate his area, who was going to sweep, be good with his feet, quick distribution, all these things, and they weren't the skill set that Simon Mignolet had. If we brought his footy manager stats, they wouldn't be the things that be jumping out there, off the page to you. So, I think now we've got a goalkeeper who we are in. Whether he ends up being the long-term goalkeeper or not, so I think the jury is probably still out. But the thing is, we are asking him to be Lois Karius. We're asking him to be, the best of himself. We want him to be more Karius. You know what I mean? And we were asking Mignolet to be more Karius before, and that doesn't make sense.
All right. Last couple of little bits on it is the general state of Everton, which I think is is worthy of dwelling on to some extent, John. They've got to sack him. I mean, let's be dead honest about this. If they don't sack him, I mean, I was enjoying singing "Allardyce must stay," but they've absolutely got to get rid of him. It's so strange to watch them not engage for long, large periods of the game. They're a bit of a shell at the minute, the Blues.
Yeah, and they deserve more, don't they? Jokes aside, we all like kind of making fun of them because it's local rivals, but they do deserve more, and they deserve to have a manager who they can believe in, and there just seems to be a lack of belief there at the football club at the moment that they're going to be able to have a fun day and and achieve something that's slightly out the ordinary. He's done a reasonable job, Sam Allardyce, in terms of the points per game, and he's happy to point that out himself. He doesn't need me to do it. He'll tell you all about where they were when he took over, and taking credit for David Unsworth's last game in charge and all that, which is quite good fun to kind of watch. But I think in terms of the results, he's been able to grind out wins at home against teams he should beat, but it's so joyless, and it's so kind of bereft of ambition, or bereft of kind of how this moves forward, and I think that's the problem, isn't it? Is that Everton, if he's in charge next season, that Everton and Evertonians know exactly what they're going to get, and that's no fun. You want to dare to dream as football fans, and he's a foghorn, isn't he? while someone's trying to sleep, and it's no fun for them. So I hope for their case as a club that they go out there and they get a manager that
never know Goodison is quiet.
Yeah, did they go and get excited? Yeah, but that was kind of
12:30 as well, and all that stuff.
Part of the issues around when the game was, but yeah, it's just no fun for them at the moment, and it should be fun for any football fan, even them.
You'd have to jib it, wouldn't you? You'd seriously contemplate it. I remember when Houllier was in his last few months, and there was all the talk that it was a done deal with Martin O'Neill. That was right, wasn't it? And I remember thinking at the time, then I can't be arsed with this. This is not. This is going to be hard. This is going to be hard to stay committed. I'm feeling good about my life as a Liverpool fan if this happens. And we lived that through Hodgson later on. A few years later, and it's an awful time when you've got a manager like that, and he stands as the polar opposite of everything you want your club to stand for, and what you want humanity to stand for. I'm not joking here. He's just a horrible, horrible human being. And normally, I'm fine with Everton having a horrible, horrible human being as their manager, as long as he's crap. And all the stars really should align in this case, because we don't like him, they don't like him. Not sure his own family like him, and he's crap. But there's still, it's just so bad. You do feel this empathy for them. You can't help but feel sympathetic for them. I can't. It's not a sustainable situation. Surely to God.
It's mad how he was England manager.
Oh, you second that would have been a laugh.
100% win record. I mean, I obviously live with a blue, and it's been really tough this season, I have to say. And he was on about jibbing it, as you've just mentioned there, Stu, and at the last second has decided to get his season ticket again. And
you feel like having a sabbatical at least, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I mean, he did say that to me. He said, I could just take a year out, just go to the odd game, and that I want to go to. But when you've been going for 25, 26 years, and you've missed 2 games out of all of those years, and then you basically jibbing it because you've got a manager in charge who you don't believe in. They spent a ton of money on players that are just not good enough, basically. They're all at an age where you can't see them improving either. So you just look at that and you think, how many bad decisions can you make on the bounce? And this is what he keeps saying to me, they just seem to be making bad decision after bad decision after bad decision. He said, and where does that stop? Because it's the men in charge that are doing it. It's your Bill Kenwright, it's your Mashiri, and they just keep making them time after time. And I don't know, it must be really difficult. I mean, it must really gall them that we get nights like Wednesday night, and they know that they're never going to get that at the moment.
I still cling to though, but one day I would like to see Everton go down one day. It almost feels like a bucket list thing, you know what I mean? I'd like to just tick it off. We nearly got there in the with the 3-2 Wimbledon thing 3 years ago, and I'll never forget that. But it just feels like it's become tantalisingly close, on a few occasions, but we've never quite seen it through. And I would like it to happen, but I've got to be honest, I wouldn't like to see it happen like this. I wouldn't like them to go down under this fella, this kind of manager. I'd have been more, aligned to them, glorious failure with Mike Walker or something like that. You know what I mean? Where at least he was trying to play footy in some kind of suicidal way.
David Unsworth would have been joyous.
Oh, that would have been great, actually. Yeah, I'd have loved that. But he's even managed to suck the fun out of Everton being crap. For me, you know what I mean? So.
And that's quite the way to phrase it. That's how I managed to suck the fun out of Everton being crap for us. Moving forward then, we all watched the Manchester derby, Philippa, and we all watched it probably wanting it to be a very, very intense affair. It undoubtedly was a very, very intense affair. You'd like to think that suits us. I thought City looked leggy for portions of the game. I think they looked like it was all a little bit difficult for them, but that said, they still actually managed to walk away from that, having played really rather well.
Yeah, I have to say, at half time, I was thinking, God, we really don't need them to win this comfortably and get the confidence and, to go into the game on Tuesday. And I honestly thought that United couldn't be bothered, to be honest, in that first half. It just looked to me like they just weren't that into it. They just thought, whatever, they're going to win it anyway, so why do we bother? And I was absolutely elated that they got back into the game, and then tackles started flying in, and it just turned into this match where they were all just squaring up to one another, and it was kind of the thing that you hoped our match wouldn't be, and it didn't end up being, and you wanted theirs to be like that. And like I say, at half time I didn't think it was going to happen, but I think that made it more joyous that the second half ended up being that way, because you just couldn't see it happening. And conceding 6 goals, that isn't going to be good for your confidence when you know that you've got to basically keep us out. If we score 1, they've got to score 5. And don't get me wrong, they're capable of doing it. I think that they've got the attacking players there. We all know what they're capable of doing.
They've literally done it as well. They've scored 5 past us, haven't they? So,
yeah. You know that they are capable, but they've got to have doubts going into that game that they're able to turn it around.
And that we want the defensive doubts as well, because that obviously affects how they attack. And they'll have been thinking, Thursday and Friday, we'll go out, we'll, all guns blazing, get a goal, get a second before half time, kind of who knows from that. And then now they must be suddenly thinking, they're looking back and thinking, well, can we be throwing men forward? Because they'll just pick us off, because, we've got, as much attacking talent as Man United, if not more. And it was so easy at times, wasn't it? Lads absolutely open. I can't believe how open Smalling is. You're like, how does this happen? Almost, really, isn't it? And that must really hurt them. And I think they did look tired, as Neil says, but I think it's what it does mentally as much as physically, that game, that will hopefully work in our favour.
I decided before the match, put a lot of thought into this, and I decided before the match that the one result that I didn't want, the worst possible one, was actually United to win. Now I've decided I was wrong about that. Let me explain it first, because I thought if United win, then City have lost 2 games back to back, and they are going to be all guns blazing against us. I think it's going to harden them, whereas if they'd have won and they won the league, I'm thinking it's softened them a little bit. You know what I mean? Inevitably it will do. It will soften them a little bit. However, I think the manner in which, what I wasn't counting on is the manner in which they lost that yesterday. To be 2-0 up and then concede 3 in that manner, all it's going to do is sow the seeds of doubt. The seeds are everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere, all over that team.
Who'd you play at centre-half? If you're them, who'd you play at centre-half? Genuinely, because Company's meant to be the one who comes in and calms everything down and boxes it off. 2 things on that: 1, they conceded 3, and secondly, Company's head last 15 minutes was absolutely all over the place. And he's not back stones the last few weeks. He plays the Porter left back. Otamendi's been his week in, week out selection, but you almost feel like Otamendi's ended up being his week in, week out selection by default as much as anything else. I mean, I'm genuinely, if I was them, I'm going into this game going, we don't know who we play at centre half here.
But I know who I wouldn't play, and that would be Otamendi. I think what we've seen of him in the last couple of games, and that might seem like a big move.
It would be huge, I think.
But I think we're all human, and the way he is reverted to type in the last couple of games. In those pressurised situations, he's tried to act the hard man, and he's shown tactical and positional indiscipline at times. And yeah, it doesn't. We spoke about our defence feeling like more of a unit now. That doesn't feel like a unit at all. In fact, particularly when you throw Kyle Walker into the mix as well, who is a really, really good player, but he doesn't feel like he's part of that defence. It almost feels like he's a bolt-on. He feels like, do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like they move as one. It doesn't feel like he is taking direction or instruction from company. Now, I know he didn't play yesterday, but can you see what I mean by that?
It's the oddness of the shape and the approach and Philippa, on that. The other one on there as well is, it's Tuesday talking about the team setup. The other thing that occurred to me when I was watching it was, honestly, there'd be lads trying to have Henderson shot in the street if Pogba was mooching through our midfield and no one's picking the runner up like that.
Absolutely.
No one goes with him twice, and it was making me think, God, I'm glad we've given Oxlade-Chamberlain a rest.
Yeah, exactly. Fernandinho for me, and I've got a mate who's a City fan and he slaughters him all the time, and I've never really understood it, but I think in these last 2 games you've seen why. He's not good defensively. He really isn't. I think he's good at turning over possession, so he starts things off quite well, but I don't think he really is switched on defensively at all, and I think he leaves them wide open. Where we're talking about the defence being a unit as well, I think Edison's part of that as well. Where we're seeing Carriers starting to make these match-defining saves, I can't remember the last time Edison did, to be honest. And for every goal, you're looking and you go, he's not getting anywhere near anything. It's all right being good with your feet and being able to pass the ball out, but even when we've put him under pressure at Anfield in the last 2 games, he's looked decidedly shaky to me, and I think we can really get at them. I really do. I wouldn't throw men forward at it. I wouldn't go gung-ho. But what I would do is I would literally say to Oxlade-Chamberlain, you're the link between midfield and the attack, and I would say to Salah, Mane and Firmino, when we get the ball, you just go and put them under pressure. You just get up there and just do your thing, and leave everybody else to just look after the other stuff. Do
you think Guardiola's got a mad move in him? Do you think he's got something that he can pull out the bag here, like break glass, release Yaya? Is there something like that? You know what I mean? That he could do that'll totally surprise us when the lineup drops on Tuesday night.
I'm not sure, because I think he's put so much into when he's talked about belief and how or if he did something unusual, people would look at me and go, well, he's lost faith in kind of what we're doing. I'm not sure. I think he's got to go with where he's at, and that includes with John Stones. Really, I don't think it's fair to suddenly now throw John Stones back in when he's more or less bombed him. And I think that probably means it is going to be Otamendi and company again, and he's just got to hope that they perform better, because I think he might be wishing that he had persisted with Stones. And I know it's been fairly chop change, but I think he's he looks kind of third choice now, Stones, doesn't he? And I think he's probably wishing that he'd stuck with him and just weathered the kind of minor storm that was his form. I mean, look, but we can we're in danger of talking like the rubbish now, aren't we?
No.
And I think that first half they were tearing them absolutely apart, weren't they? And I was wondering about the application of the Man United players at times, but still, how easy they were finding it to carve them open and go through. And if Sterling had the shooting boots on, then we could have been out of sight before half time. And that is what worries you, is that you
can take a game away from you in 20 minutes.
Yeah, and I think if they'll be feeling down today, and they'll be feeling sorry for themselves today, I'm sure. But by Monday, I'm sure they haven't got where they have in football without wanting to put it right and wanting to think, we owe those fans who maybe travelled, who wants to see this coronation and it didn't happen. We owe them to try and put it right, and to ourselves as well, because they'll want to have this big season, and if they finish it with the Premier League and the League Cup, look, that's really good. You'd all take it, but it's not quite. This is one of the best teams of all time, is it?
They want the redemption, John. That's the worry, is that it gives. We've got to be really, really disciplined, I think, and not allow almost that redemption to begin to feel as though it's there for them. But we are going to be massively under the caution. You're saying Stu's saying has he got his break glass moments. I think his break glass moment to a certain extent is make sure that my best players play as close to absolutely the tip top of their potential as possible. That's De Bruyne, that's Sané, that's Sterling, and that's Aguero. And I do think Aguero is a little bit of his break glass moment. When we were watching it on a dodgy stream yesterday, and they did the highlights of when Aguero scored 4 against Newcastle. And my point about this is that they've got a lad up front who could bang a trick, and that's what we've got to remember. They can play a lad up front who could just bang a trick, and then where are we? You know what I mean? Suddenly on his own, it can be Liverpool 3, Sergio Aguero 3, and there can still be 25 minutes of football to play, and that's what scares the life out of me.
Yeah, no, and they can do that, and I think that's what, we can't go in overconfidence, but I think, we're in a really nice position, and, you take our weekend over theirs, wouldn't you, all day, in terms of, in every part of it.
Very much so, it is there to be won. You expecting him to go the same side that he goes with in the first leg, with the exception of Wijnaldum starts ahead of Henderson?
Yeah, I think he has to. I think we're all assuming that the Robertson will be back, and I think... So aside from that, I think he has to. I don't think he's got huge amounts of choices. There's the right back question now, but I think he'll go Klein. I think we'll go Trent. I think, we were talking about managers and how they are and stuff. I think he'll want to reward Trent. I don't think he'd take that away from Trent now. I think Trent's almost, you're there till the final now, mate, because you've been a big part of kind of where we've got to, and that's, I mean, Klein might change his mind with his form between now and the season if he gets games, especially in the league. But I think both of them, Guardiola and Klopp, are that sort of manager where if I'm putting my faith in you and you're doing a good job for me, then I'm not going to shaft you down the line. And I think Trent's deserved this game at the Etihad, and I think he'll give it to them. So I think it's the team we're all expecting for me.
Totally agree with what John said there, and yeah, I don't think there's really many options, if any, really, for the manager to do anything unless he was to do something a bit crazy, or if there were injuries, more injuries, unknown injuries, came up. So I think the same back four as last week. I think the midfield is it has to be Wijnaldum, Milner, and Oxlade-Chamberlain, and the front three, please God, is the front three.
Excuse me, sorry, Philippa?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what we have to remember here is it's not up to us to find an answer. It's up to Guardiola, it's up to Man City to find their way back into this tie, and we can react to what they do.
That's completely right. We haven't got to do anything clever.
We haven't got to do anything clever, so why change it? Why move away from what they trained to do last week? Just keep it all the same, and we know that we can hurt them. We just need to make sure if we get a chance, we take our chance, and happy days.
I think Guardiola as well. I've read his books. The book's written about him. There is a sense of he does like the opportunity to demonstrate his intelligence. He does like the opportunities to demonstrate, to pull something out the bag, to spring a tactical surprise. But I think there is a danger with Guardiola, and we've seen it at times where he'll trip himself up with it. I think he can reach too far at times and do something that's overcomplicate things for his players and make a change when actually he should just commit to what has been working so well for them.
I wonder if the surprise might actually be that he's not necessarily got a problem with it being 0-0 at half time.
Well, I wouldn't have a problem if I was them if it 0-0 at half time, as long as we know there was one between 50 and 60. I think the longer it's 0-0, the more worried I get, to be honest, as a Liverpool fan. Do you know what I mean? In terms of, I'm not feeling safe as the minutes are going down, because they can score 3 goals in 10 minutes. There's no, in my opinion, there's no problem with assuming that they could do that. They did it at Anfield. They did it at Anfield when we beat them 4-3. It must scored
2 in the last 10.
Right. So, and if they do that, then you know what momentum's like in a Champions League game like this. If they score 2 goals in 10 minutes and there's injury time, then I'm needing life support. So I think we need to get the goal. In my opinion, I'd like Liverpool to score in the first half. That's what I'd like to. I think that there's going to be a great deal of possession from them. I think they'll push, but I don't think they'll overly commit. I think they'll try and keep the ball. But if we can just nick a goal by hook or by crook in that first half, then I think it kills them. I think it absolutely kills them.
Okay, prediction, John.
I think we'll get beat, but go through.
Okay.
So, do you want me to say numbers or?
If you want to say numbers,
I think we'll get beat 3-1. Go through. I'm sorry.
When's that one scoring, John? Just for my own peace of mind.
Like later than you want it to be.
Thanks, John. Thanks, mate. I don't want John's Tuesday. Stu, offer me a better Tuesday, or offer me a Tuesday of your choice.
I'm actually going to go further than John, because there's almost part of me that
You go
masochistically might actually get off on this. That 4-1. Oh. Yeah.
4-1. My word. Stu Wright's gone 4-1. Manchester City. Philippa.
I don't know what's up with you. I think we'll draw. I really do. I think it might end up being 2-2 or something like that. But I think we'll have too much for them. I hope. Please, God.
I'm sort of with Philip, but I think that your most likely outcome is something like a 2-2 or something like that, where when Liverpool make it 2-2, it does somewhat mean that Manchester City, everyone just sort of goes, it's 65 minutes, it's 2-2, we've got to get another 4, and we haven't got it in our legs. I think that you might well see a little bit of that. Listen, it's the biggest game of our season. It is the biggest cup game Liverpool have been involved in, arguably since the Europa League final, and maybe even bigger than that. Liverpool this week on Tuesday go to Manchester City. We'll be covering it out through all of our channels, obviously through our subscription service. John's going to be doing a preview. When I'm doing the review of this, we're going to be obviously looking ahead to the Manchester City game as well. We'll have our post-match show directly afterwards, and then we'll be dissecting it a couple of days even after that, or even one day after that. So everything to come there at theanfieldwrap.com/subscribe for that. Thank you very much to Philippa, to Stu, and to John. As I open the show, we've partnered this year with RedsBet. They're supporting us, and it's tailor-made RedsBet for Liverpool fans. They're an online gaming platform which seeks to build long-lasting partnerships with supporters that enable them to share 50% of net profits generated from bets for fan causes and other initiatives that matter to supporters. They've got all sorts of specials on there. You know how this works by now. It's a fun and innovative take on sports betting, but do also obviously gamble responsibly and enjoyably. BeGambleAware.org for that. It's been your Anfield Wrap. Oh my word, I don't want Stu Wright's Tuesday. I'm a bag of nerves.
We do go through with my one though as well.
Let's all just try and get our heads down and sleep and relax, and apologies throughout the show for my cold.